This is KCBD News Channel 11 at 10.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Many across the nation and, of course, here at home are mourning the passing of Mike Leach. He died last night after complications from a heart attack he suffered on Sunday.
His interviews drew attention even from non-sports fans, and his influence on how football is played today is significant. KCBD News Channel 11's Matt Ernst looks back at Coach Leach's career.
Karen and Abner, it went from they're running this different kind of offense there in Lubbock, and what is that? Now that offense has spread far and wide. Matter of fact, last night on Monday Night Football, it was Leach's first quarterback at Tech, Cliff Kingsbury, coaching the Arizona Cardinals. Let's look at the coaching tree, and these are just some of them. Coaches who either played for or served as a grad assistant or coach under Mike Leach. You got Neil Brown, Dave Aranda, Sonny Cumbie, of course, the interim last year at the end of the season for Tech. He's at La Tech now. Sonny Dykes in the college football playoff with TCU. Josh Heupel. And this is an impressive list, of course. It was Leach with Hal Mumme who really crafted the air raid. Mumme told the SEC Network today Leach and he were like brothers. Latest coaching move, Emo. Eric Morris played at Shallowater. He was at Tech as a player, then also coaching there. He is now the new head coach at North Texas. Leach went to school in Cody, Wyoming, and it was rugby, not football, that he played at Brigham Young. Coaching football took him to Finland, Valdosta State, and Kentucky. His first college head coaching job drew the football world's attention and focus, launching the air raid.
I'm not a very big opening statement guy, so let's just get to the questions here.
For some fans, question was, who is this guy? Leach was offensive coordinator on the visiting sideline for Cliff Kingsbury's first start. The Red Raiders came from behind to defeat Oklahoma in Spike Dykes' final game. In the offseason, Tech hired Leach. A new century and a new wide open way of spreading out the offense. Few did it then. Now it's everywhere, from high school to the pros. Along the way, we got advice on just about everything.
You know, sure, you get a bit of a haul during Thanksgiving and Halloween, and you know, you get to fire some stuff off during 4th of July, but Christmas is better.
He stressed every player must give it their all.
There isn't anybody here not fighting for a job, and if they aren't, then I'm either going to reassign them or cut them.
He particularly had success against A&M. As a head coach, he went 9-4 against the Aggies.
Glad to get out of here with a win. This is a tough place to do it, and you know, once in a while a pirate can beat a soldier, you know.
Leach tried some new approaches, even once changing the name on a player's jersey.
So whose idea was it?
I gave him the name. That's indisputable. I came up with the name, and then as far as putting it on his jersey, I can't remember. Somebody in a meeting asked him about having it on his jersey. He says, yeah, fine. He says, I want it on my game jersey or something like that.
He won 9 games in a season at Texas Tech 3 times and went 11-2 in 2008. This includes knocking off top-ranked Texas. In 2009, Leach became the program's winningest coach.
The opportunity to see Coach Dykes in the locker room, one of the greatest coaches of all time, in my opinion, and who really was instrumental in building this program and being a part of his legacy, is a real honor for me.
Later that season, after a win, Leach drilled responsibility into his players, a rant that has gone viral.
Because we want to tell everybody, yeah, one time I was 11-2.
Late in 2009, while the team was preparing for the Alamo Bowl, Tech suspended Leach. Administrators said Leach mistreated player Adam James after James suffered a concussion. Leach's attorney rejected those claims. When the coach refused to apologize, Tech fired Leach.
I'm out here because I think this is a travesty what they've done to Leach, and not just Leach, but the university and the city of Lubbock.
It created a lasting rift in the fan base.
Our assumptions were true that Mike was fired by the administration because they wanted to save money, and they used Adam James as a red herring to do so.
Leach sued the university, a battle that dragged on for years. As a state entity, Tech used sovereign immunity to dismiss most claims. In the year since, Leach repeated his stance that the university owed him money. His next stop took him to Pullman in 2012.
People ask me why Washington State, and once I get past in the back of my mind thinking, well, that's a stupid question. But we talked about how are you going to swing your sword as kind of a metaphor to executing in football. Is it going to be frantic and out of control where you're wide open? Or is it going to be one of these, you know?
While with the Cougars, Leach compiled a 55-47 record, also an 11-2 season here with the win in the 2018 Alamo Bowl. In 2020, Leach landed in the SEC. He went 19-17 at Mississippi State. Ahead of this season, he was asked about air raid or spread offenses.
All around the league now, and with rare exception, the whole NFL. But football's always been a game of execution, and there's not a lot of road runner, Wile E. Coyote, and then you walk away laughing like Muttley after the rock fell on the guy or something like that.
And as for another way to influence others, Leach's family says he donated his organs. Karen and Abner,